what if you never had to start your container garden over from scratch again? Most of us are used to the same routine every spring. New seeds, new soil, new plants, starting the whole process all over again. But there's a whole category of vegetables that quietly skips that routine entirely. Plant them once, and they come back year after year, often growing bigger, healthier, and more productive as they mature. For those of us who want a garden that gives us joy without demanding more from our knees, our backs, and our schedule every single season, this is genuinely good news. Less digging, less starting over, just steady, dependable harvests that get better with time. Today, I'm walking you through 15 well-known, well-loved perennial vegetables and herbs that thrive in containers on a patio, porch, or balcony. Plants that reward patience instead of punishing you for it. Stick around, because a few of these might completely change how you think about what your garden can give back to you. Before we begin, if this is the kind of gardening content that helps you, tap that like button. It helps this video reach other gardeners looking to work a little smarter this year. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Seniors Wellness Roots. Every week, we share practical ways to keep gardening and life a little easier and more rewarding. Let's get into it. 1. Garden mint. If there's one herb famous for coming back no matter what, it's mint. Many gardeners actually avoid planting it directly in the ground because it spreads so eagerly. But in a container, that same energy becomes a real advantage. Mint grows from underground runners that constantly send up new shoots, so the more you harvest, the fuller and bushier it becomes. A medium container with rich, consistently moist soil is all it needs. Every few years, you can even divide the root ball to create new pots for gifting or for a second spot on the patio. Fresh mint is wonderful in tea, lemonade, fruit salads, and savory dishes alike, and it keeps producing with very little fuss. 2. Garlic chives. Garlic chives offer a gentle garlic flavor from a plant that asks for almost nothing. Like mint, the more you trim it, the more it grows back, often producing a fresh flush of leaves just weeks after a harvest. It tolerates heat, cold, and the occasional mist watering better than most vegetables, which makes it especially forgiving for anyone who wants a low-stress container plant. In late summer, it produces pretty white flowers that attract bees, and those blossoms are edible too, perfect as a simple garnish. 3. Lovage. Think of lovage as celery that never needs replanting. It grows into a generous, leafy plant with a bold, concentrated celery flavor. A little goes a long way in soups, stews, and stocks. It handles cool weather well and tends to return more vigorously each spring as its root system matures. Because the flavor is strong, even a modest harvest from one container can season an entire pot of soup. 4. Sorrel. Sorrel is one of the earliest fresh greens of the year, often up and growing before your tomatoes have even gone in the ground. It has a bright, naturally lemony flavor without a trace of citrus in it, which makes it a lovely addition to salads and sauces. You harvest the outer leaves continuously, while the center of the plant keeps producing, and established plants tend to become more generous with age. Perennial arugula, wild rocket. If you love the peppery bite of arugula, but are tired of buying new seed packets each year, wild rocket solves that problem. Instead of bolting and disappearing like the annual version, it forms a compact, expanding clump that keeps producing bold, peppery leaves for months. It's notably more drought-tolerant than regular arugula once established, which means a little less worry if you miss a watering day here and there. 6. Egyptian walking onion. This one is a delightful oddity. Instead of forming seeds at the top, it grows small clusters of miniature onions called bulblets. As they grow heavier, the stalk bends toward the soil, the bulblets take root, and the plant slowly walks across your container bed over the years. Both the green tops and the underground bulbs are edible, and this onion is remarkably hardy. It shrugs off freezing temperatures and rarely has pest problems. Many gardeners simply keep harvesting from the very same clump for years. 7. Welsh onion. Welsh onion grows in dense, expanding clumps that continually send up fresh shoots, giving you scallion-style onions you can harvest again and again without ever pulling the whole plant. It's exceptionally cold-hardy and often keeps producing earlier in spring and later into the season than most other vegetables. Once established, many gardeners never need to buy green onions from the store again. If you've grown any of these so far, mint, chives, onions, or greens that just kept coming back, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment and tell me which perennial has surprised you the most in your own garden. I read every single one, and it genuinely helps other viewers see what's possible in their own space. And if you're enjoying this so far, now's a great time to hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's video. Let's keep going. These next few are true garden classics. 8. Ginger. Most of us think of ginger as something from the grocery store, but it grows beautifully in a container, especially if you're willing to bring the pot indoors for winter in cooler climates. It grows from thick underground rhizomes that slowly expand each season. You can harvest the mature outer pieces while leaving the younger rhizomes to keep developing, so the same plant continues producing for years. Fresh homegrown ginger is more tender and less fibrous than what you'll find in stores, wonderful in tea, stir-fries, and baking. 9. Horseradish. Horseradish is about as low maintenance as perennial vegetables get. Once established, its root system returns with real determination every spring. In fact, many gardeners grow it in containers specifically to keep its enthusiastic spreading under control. Each year, the central root grows larger and produces side roots you can harvest without disturbing the whole plant. Freshly grated horseradish has a sharp, vibrant intensity that store-bought versions simply can't match. 10. Rhubarb. Rhubarb is a true cottage garden classic, and a well-established plant often becomes more productive with each passing year. It grows from a thick underground crown that stores energy through the growing season before sending up those familiar, colorful stalks each spring. A large, deep container with rich soil and a sunny spot is all it needs. Just one important reminder: only the stalks are eaten. The leaves contain oxalic acid and should always be discarded. With good care, a single rhubarb crown can keep producing for many, many years. 11. Jerusalem artichoke. Despite the name, this is actually a type of sunflower that produces edible tubers underground, and it's remarkably persistent. Even small tubers left behind after harvest tend to sprout again the following season. Above ground, it produces cheerful yellow blooms. Below ground, it quietly builds an increasingly generous harvest. In a large container, it stays productive and contained, giving you a dependable, self-renewing crop with very little effort on your part. 12. Chinese artichoke. This charming little plant looks like a compact mint relative above ground, but beneath the soil, it produces small, crisp, pearl-like tubers with a mild, nutty flavor. It naturally regenerates from any tubers left behind after harvest, so a single planting tends to keep the container productive year after year without needing to start over. 13. Globe artichoke. Globe artichoke might be the most dramatic and rewarding plant on this list. Even before it produces its famous edible buds, its enormous silvery leaves make it a striking, ornamental centerpiece for any patio. It grows from a permanent crown that becomes larger and more productive over the years, and in a large container, with rich soil and full sun, it can provide reliable harvests for many consecutive seasons. If you let a few buds open fully, you'll be rewarded with spectacular purple flowers that draw bees into your garden. 14. Asparagus. Asparagus is perhaps the most celebrated perennial vegetable of all, and for good reason. It does ask for patience. The plant spends its first couple of years building a strong root system before producing much of a harvest. But that patience pays off for a remarkably long time. Some gardeners report harvesting spears from the very same crowns for 15, 20 years or more. It needs a fairly large, deep container, but once it's established, you're rewarded with fresh spears every single spring for what can be decades. 15. Perennial kale. For anyone who's been frustrated watching kale bolt and die after a single season, perennial kale solves the problem for good. Rather than putting its energy into flowering, it keeps growing as a leafy shrub, developing thicker, woodier stems, and becoming more productive as the years go by. You harvest the outer leaves while the growing tip keeps producing fresh foliage, giving you a steady, reliable source of greens with minimal replanting, feeding, or fuss. And there you have it, 15 dependable, well-loved perennial vegetables and herbs that can transform your containers from a yearly chore into a garden that quietly gets better with age. Instead of starting from scratch each spring, you're building something that grows stronger and more generous every single season, with less digging and less strain along the way. I'd love to know, out of everything we covered today, which one are you most excited to add to your containers this year? Scroll down and tell me in the comments. I read every one, and your answer might just inspire someone else watching to try something new. If this video helped you see your garden a little differently, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Seniors Wellness Roots. We're here every week with practical, easy-to-follow ideas to help you enjoy gardening and life with a little less effort and a lot more reward. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.